Is gambling the cause of bad reffing in the NHL and other sports? A Talking Habs op-ed. Hey everybody, I'm Rick. Welcome to Talking Habs, where you get your daily fix of Bleu Blanc Rouge. I've been a hockey fan for over 50 years now, and there's never been a time that I didn't feel the referees were god-awful bad. These past 3 or 4 seasons have been even worse than normal in terms of bad reffing, poor player safety, and the NHL leadership just flat out lying to us about practically everything. It's gotten to the point that it seems like the refs don't even hide it anymore. And this seems to be true in every major sport right now. Like this NHL ref literally bumping a player on purpose and then throwing a flag and issuing a 15-yard penalty. Now, it's supposedly a 15-yard penalty for taunting, but, I mean, you could see he clearly bumps into the guy, and maybe just to use that as, well, not only the taunting, but he bumped me. In the last 3-4 years, the NHL has been partnering up with various sports betting outlets and betting sites. NHL announces sports betting partnership, MGM Resorts. The NHL adds William Hill US as its third sports betting partner. That's March 29th, 2019. NHL unveils Betway as the latest official sports betting partner, May 14, 2021. The timing of these two things, the partnerships and the bad officiating together, has me asking the question, are legal gambling in sports and extremely bad officiating in sports related in any way?
The business side of it and the new gambling partners that the NHL has. And they have different expectations for how the game has been managed by the referees.
I'd be hard-pressed to say, no, they're not, because I think they are. Absolutely, they are related.
The officiating in this game is the worst officiating game I've seen in this year's playoffs. It was awful. It was just a long run of penalties in this game that the officials absolutely missed.
Subscribe and ring that notifications bell, and hey, give a thumbs up. It can't be a coincidence that in the NHL, as they're creating all of these new gambling partnerships, the officiating is degrading to the point where some refs just aren't hiding it anymore. There's the Tim Peel incident from a couple years ago, and this from last season's semifinal. Vegas Golden Knights versus Montreal, when this happened right in front of ref Chris Lee, and he just ignored it.
And then you see this at the end of the period, right? Again, Chris Lee is right there, and I'm by no means a referee basher, but you can't allow a punch to the face.
In the case of Montreal, there seems to be an obvious bias by the War Room in Toronto to overturn goals or enforce as many calls as they can involving the Canadians, like this called back Brendan Gallagher goal for supposed goalie interference. And bullshit. 9 out of 10 people can watch it and say it's a goal, but there's always that one person in Toronto.
Gallagher skates literally on the edge of the crease, right in front of.
We want you to become a member of Talking Habs. A penalty for Montreal isn't a penalty for their opponent. And this seems to happen too frequently. A goalie interference call against Montreal isn't one against the opponent. And if the refs on the ice don't deny Montreal, then the War Room in Toronto will. 9 out of 10 times. And as in the case of the Galley goalie interference goal. They make it quite obvious, even though, of course, they deny it. Another example is the non-call on Ottawa's Josh Norris when he hit Sami Niku into the boards. That was earlier in the season. The hit resulted in a Niku concussion and no penalty on the play and no subsequent punishment at all. Flash forward to the Cedric Paquette hit on the Ducks' Trevor Zegras. It was virtually the same hit. I know people will say, well, he charged a little bit. He was coming in. Okay, but it was virtually the same hit. But in Paquette's case, he gets a major penalty and a 2-game suspension. Virtually the same hit and two very different punishments. It's also clear that the NHL does not want a Canadian team in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Here it is again. Got him actually with the hip.
We're getting stiff. You know why we're getting stiff? Because they do not want a Canadian team in the final. That's my opinion.
And they'll try to keep them out at all costs. To hell with the optics. In the 2021 Stanley Cup semifinal series, Montreal versus Vegas Golden Knights, it was very obvious by the officiating and the NHL's response to it that they were okay with the way the refs were calling the games. But they had to respond in some way only because of the outrage it caused and not because they wanted to. And that's my opinion.
He and McNabb go one-on-one. There wasn't a whistle. He let all this go.
The refs are either being paid off to affect games or are being directed to behave like this from the NHL, and possibly it's both.
Referee's over talking about dismiss. Look at Marchessault. He's swinging at the puck. Not sure how they missed that one.
I think there needs to be an independent, non-biased investigation into any connection between sports leagues, their officials, and the gambling institutions and online websites to ensure that fans are not being ripped off by having to pay for games that are being fixed by corrupt league officials.
The business side of it and the new gambling partners that the NHL has. And they have different expectations for how the game has been managed by the referees.
It's time in the NHL for Gary Bettman and his crew, a true evil corp if there ever was one, to be sent out to pasture and for some new blood to come in and take over, some modern thinkers to move the leagues forward and away from the old boys clubs that they still are, and to finally bring the changes needed.
You can see he's looking down and right across. You're cutting across. You're not thinking that.
That's it. Thanks for watching. That's my opinion on gambling and refereeing, not only in the NHL, but I think throughout the major sports right now. Subscribe and ring that notifications bell. And hey, give a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hey, check out that video over there.